Good afternoon, everyone. This is Jeremy here at ExtremeWeatherTracker.com, updating your tropical weather at 6:30 p.m. on July 31st, 2012. The tropics are starting to become more active, as you can see by the firing of convection here in the northeast Caribbean as well as in the central Atlantic here. We have a tropical wave located here close to Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic, and this is moving slowly off to the northwest and has near 0% chance of development. Upper level winds in this area are not particularly favorable for development, but it will have to be watched. If it gets into this area of the world, it could become more favorable. The moisture from this should be affecting Florida in the next 3 to 4 days, and it's possible that this moisture gets pulled up along the eastern seaboard um, in association with a trough of low pressure that you can see here on the top of the satellite view. We also have Invest 99L located here in the central western Atlantic, and this is moving to the west. You can see it's still embedded in this ITCZ zone here. It needs to lift out a little bit more to the northwest or west northwest and detach itself before it can really be declared as a developing system, but it is becoming better defined. There is some rotation with it, and the convection is starting to fire with it, as you can see. And this should move off to the west northwest over the next few days. And most models now are saying that this will develop into a tropical system and take a southerly route through the Caribbean, possibly getting into the Gulf of Mexico in 8 days or so. Now, if we look at the models, you can see the models initiating from here. You can see that most of the model guidance bring it into the Caribbean through the Lesser Antilles Islands and south of Puerto Rico, the Dominican Republic, and Cuba coming up over the next several days, and most of the models are in fairly good agreement of this staying in the Caribbean. Now, wind shears uh, values in the Caribbean have been somewhat sketchy. I know in the Western Caribbean the wind shear is pretty high. Eastern Caribbean the wind shear seems to be relaxing a bit. So as it gets closer, we'll have to see what the wind shear is actually doing and see if this can survive these trade winds that are famous in the Caribbean for killing systems in an El Nino year. So we'll see if this can survive its trek across the Caribbean, and most of the models are saying that it will survive, albeit somewhat impacted by the trade winds here, but should survive and could possibly enter the Gulf of Mexico sometime the end of next week or the beginning of the following week. As you can see from the intensity models, most models now bring Invest 99L up to tropical storm status in approximately 120 hours. So it will be slow to develop, but I think once it gets going, the tropical cyclone heat potential in this area of the world is very great, which means very deep waters at a very high heat. So it really could get going once this thing gets in this area. That's just one of the factors. Of course, the limiting factor will be the shear, and in this area. But as you can see, it's starting to get its act together, starting to get going a little bit more, and we're going to need to be watching this over the next few days as it makes its way west northwest, detaches itself from the ITCZ zone, and becomes better defined as it enters the islands here. So those in the islands need to keep a close eye on this as it comes towards your area, and then those in the Gulf of Mexico all the way along the eastern seaboard should definitely watch this system as it develops. Some of the models are still hinting that this thing could take a more northwesterly path toward the Florida or the eastern seaboard. So this is just something we'll have to see over the next few days as it becomes better defined. If once we get a closed low and the models can really latch on to what's going on with this system, then we'll really see what's going on with it. But for now, we definitely do have some things to watch in the tropics. Things are heating up as it should be around the 1st of August through September. We should see things start happening in the tropics. So keep checking back here at ExtremeWeatherTracker.com, and we'll keep updating as these tropical systems keep developing. So let's keep an eye on this, and I'll see you all again soon.